Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Hi, I am Sylvia Hayes, and you are watching Good News at Primetime. Tonight, our topic is domestic abuse awareness. As you know, this is Domestic Abuse Awareness Month. And so, we're going to be talking about domestic abuse and the different kinds of domestic abuse. And as you know, one of the headliners in the news today is being accused of domestic abuse. We're talking about Herschel Walker. He's been accused of it by several women, not just one. Okay. So that will put a light on him, hey, this is domestic month and he's a candidate. Do we want him to be in office if he abusing women? If he do that to a personal woman, so what would he do for everybody else who we don't care about? How would he take care of us? How would he form the laws for us? Okay, so you got to think about that. Okay, think about that. Will he be working in your best interest because he have that thing already on being abusive? Okay, so just think about it. And our topic, not a topic, my power thought. This is my book, so you got to get it. Power Thoughts Empowering You to Be Successful in Life. You can get it at ankproductions.com. ankproductions.com. That is my book. It's a very powerful book. It will enlighten you and it will enhance your life, and it has literally saved people's lives. It's a very good book, and I encourage everybody to get it and read it. Teachers have actually used that book for part of their curriculum. So if the teacher can use it for part of their curriculum, I'm sure you can use it for part of your life. Okay. And the power thought for today is you are your brother's keeper. You are your brother's keeper. And that is our power thought for today. And we're going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, Mr. Reggie Drama, if he's available. Hi, Reggie. How are you?
Hey, what's up there, Miss Sylvia? What's up to the good news audience out here? We're good. I'm actually coming out of New Orleans, but it's good, and it's good to be here. I definitely encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe over to our Square Mile Media Atlanta. Make sure you hit that notification button as well. I wanted to bring one little thing. We're talking about domestic violence, but there's a shadow in both of the senator's closet when it comes down to domestic abuse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got both of them got the light on them. And, sometimes I think in a men generated society, sometimes men kind of overlook or, kind of buddy, chummy, and go along to get along. And, this is something that's got to be addressed from both sides. On the Democrat side with Representative Warnock and Herschel Walker as well. Even though Herschel Walker is a lot more documented, Senator Warnock is only coming from his ex-wife. You know how them ex-wives are.
Yeah, and I think with
you know.
hers, with hers, he ran over her foot in the car, so she could have been chasing the car or something like that, and her foot got in the way.
Oh, don't give
So
him an excuse.
I'm not giving her an excuse. I'm just saying that could have been the case, because he just ran over her foot, and that was the case with him. If
Oh,
anything else happened, I don't know anything about it. Yeah, that's the only thing I know
okay.
about was him running over her foot.
All
Yeah.
righty. Okay. Well, that's going to be our story, and we're going to stick to that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely critical. And I think one of the, I think a quote: "Everyone knows someone. Everyone knows someone that's been a victim of domestic violence or abuse." And I have to think about Webster's definition. This is a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to maintain power, control, and intimidate a partner, an intimate partner. This could be physical, sexual, emotional, economical, psychological. These are actions or threats of actions that influence another person's outcome. it can be done through humiliation, fear, uh, manipulation, injury, and those are the attributes of domestic abuse.
Mm. Yeah. See, well, since you went through that, I don't have to tell you what I had because you just said everything I was going to say. Yeah.
She
Only
go
part
ahead.
is the only part is there's a fear of repercussion if you stand up for yourself. You know.
Mm.
So
What's that
that was the
fear?
other part. Yeah. Huh?
What's that
I didn't
fear?
hear what you.
Because that was a. I said, what's that fear? Because one of the questions was, why don't they leave? And sometimes there's fear, intimidation, and a whole lot of other factors that you know, attribute to a person not getting out of a domestic uh, abuse or violent situation.
Yeah, and there are several reasons. One, the man may, if it's a woman who they say, why don't you leave? One, the man may control all the money. You know, a lot of
Mm,
times I've known
correct.
for a woman who go to work and the man takes her money. So and he'll give her what he wants her to have. You know, so lack of
Mm,
money to leave. You might have a whole lot of kids, and it's hard to take off and go somewhere with a whole bunch of kids unless you run to your family or something like that. So children is another one. Um, Fear, he put threats in you. If you leave me, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill your parents or kill your children or whatever, that kind of fear. Or I will hunt you down. You will never be able to work again and all of this kind of stuff. So, they can intimidate you. Things like that
and
will.
there's also, uh, I thought about it. There's also the fear that he might kill himself. I think some women, especially, are concerned uh, when they say, "Well, he just might kill himself," and they don't want to be held accountable or feel or another party, their significant other, killing themselves, and that's a strong reason for women not leaving. And then in cases, domestic violence can go both ways, men and women, even though the predominant uh, abusers are men. The predominant men, and they could be from any race, any profession, and but that's a factor too, where the other person feels that that person might kill themselves, and they don't want to. They say, this baby, I can't live without you, you know, and that puts them in a position where, as a nurturer, they don't want to see something bad happen to that person, even though they are going through abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the case. And when we think about abuse, we on most of the time when we think of abuse, we think of man and woman abuse. But there's a lot of other abuse also. There's children abuse because sometimes the parents or the grandparents may abuse the children. Babysitters may abuse the children, and the children might be too afraid to say or don't know they could tell, so they could get some help. Then there's the employees who will abuse their employers. They're the
Ooh,
employer who would abuse the employees. And especially sometimes if they have foreign people, they will work them to death, talk to them any kind of way, have them doing any kinds of stuff. That's abusive right there. And then, of course, we got the police who's abusive to a lot of people, so we got that abuse. And then we have bullies. Sometimes you
yeah,
may
ooh,
have
yes.
bullies on the job, and then you got the kids who are bullying each other. That's abuse. A lot of people may not think of it as abuse, but it is abusive, and that needs to stop. And then we have the verbal abuse. A lot of times uh, people just say you're ugly, you're never worth anything. Even children feel the repercussions of being abused. When you tell a child they're stupid, and you just like your daddy, you'll never be like anything. And
Whoa.
that's a seed you're planting in their head that will last them forever. And they may think I'm not worth anything, and then they go off and do nothing. because they don't feel like they're worth anything. So it's
Right.
very important that you say the right things to people, plant the right seeds, even adults. I've had one woman who was a good friend of mine. She thought she was so ugly, because the
Mm,
man she was with told her that she was ugly. Nobody wanted her. And you're ugly and you're not worth anything. The lady was really pretty, but she thought she
mm,
was ugly. Even my grandchild thought she was so pretty, you know. But because of what he put in her brain, she thought she was ugly and didn't think she was
wow.
worth anything. She thought she didn't have value. So verbal abuse is is more devastating sometimes than the physical abuse. Okay, but we have to stand up. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but we have to stand up to those people who are abusing us. Now, if it's like real physical, you need to get out of there. But if they start out verbal abusing you, talk some smack back,
Uh,
or try to comment a little bit or something. Throw them off guard, let them know that you're not just going to take this sitting down. Okay, you got to put
mm,
something out there. You got to. Otherwise, they're going to continue to do it. And even you can notice abuse when they get possessive, they want to keep you away from your family members and stuff like that. That's abuse right there. When they're trying to isolate you from people and family members, if you have somebody in your family who's been isolated from you, please speak up. You know something is going on that's not right. Okay? You got to be there for that person. You got to be there. Even though the spouse say they don't want you around them because you're a bad influence or whatever, you got to find a way to be with that person, speak to that person, and make sure they're okay. Because they could be going through pure hell, and they don't have
right.
anybody to communicate with because they've been cut off. Okay, don't let that
Wow.
happen. Don't let
Well,
people cut you off from your loved ones. You can't do
and
that.
you know, there's a lot of telltale signs, but also we got to put that number out. This is the number for the nationwide domestic violence hotline. That's 1-800-799-7233. That's 1-800-799-7233. And the 7233 is SAFE, safe. So that's
Yeah,
800-799-7233. You can also text START to 88788. You can text the word START uh, to
do it.
887.
Start it again.
You can text the word START, START, to 88788. And I guess the
Okay,
reason for using the word START is not to alert a perpetrator.
right. Yeah,
Also, there's the if you in the Atlanta area, QT, Quick Trip, Quick Trip. I'm not telling you to go to these other gas stations. They not prepared to help you. But Quick Trip is a safe zone for runaways, people in domestic violence situations. If you're in a situation and you can't get there to help a friend of a family member, you can tell them to go to their nearest Quick Trip. If you see someone that you say, well, I don't have any resources, I don't know where to go, they can go to Quick Trip, QT, and they're in many neighborhoods. Also, the National Network to End Domestic Violence. That's NNEDV. You can also go on that website and get a lot of information, a lot of things that you put out, Miss Sylvia. When people isolate you from your family, when people intimidate you, when they make you feel like you hadn't accomplished nothing, uh, anything that diminishes your value, those are telltale signs that you might be in an abusive relationship. Uh,
mhm.
and there's some things that you can do uh, to better your chances of either getting out of that relationship or, you know, redirecting that person. That person might need some counseling, some therapy, but they have to want help. They have to want help, and a lot of times that help might not be able to come from you. Sometimes in the church, there are different ministries that are available. Also in society itself, because sometimes inside the church you can't find a decent person to help you get out of a particular situation because they see it being a religious type thing where the male is supposed to have that dominance, that authority, and you'll have even women in the church, the temple, the mosque, uh, whatever, saying, "Hey, stay there, stay by your man," and that woman will end up, either hurt, abused, or dead.
Yeah. Yeah, and so and those kind of people are not looking out for your best interest. If they tell you to stay there and get abused, no, that's my opinion. They're not looking out for your best interest. They're looking at it biblically. Stay with your husband through thick and thin, better for worse. But I don't agree with that. No, if you're beating up on me and you're gonna tell me to stay there and get more abuse, no, I'm not gonna do it. No, so you have to get away. Ain't no doubt about it. And there was two more helplines I was going to give too. One is just to get information on it is www.thehotline.org. www.thehotline.org. You can get information there about domestic abuse and what you can do. And also, if you're trying to find a safe spot, you can dial 211. That's the United Way, and they have a lot of they have numbers for domestic for shelters, homeless shelters that you can go to. And a lot of these shelters are underground, so people can't just find you. Okay, so those are two other numbers in addition to the ones that he gave you. United Way, which is 211. They have all kind of resources too at United Way: food, clothing. You need help with utilities. On top of that, they still have the shelters that you can go to. They could send you to, refer you to. Okay, so just go for it. There's help out there, and always remember when you're being abused, it's not your fault, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So tell somebody, get some help. Okay, a lot of people want to keep it undercover and don't tell anybody, but you got to tell somebody in order for you to get out because you may be weak, but there's somebody else who's stronger. So if you got a stronger person who's on your side, they will help you to get out of this situation. They will help you to plan your exit. And sometimes you can't just say, tell the person, I'm leaving you. That may not work because they might beat you down and kill you and all that kind of stuff. You plan your exit silently. You let somebody know what's going on. You start planning in advance. Put your clothes somewhere. Also, if you have to do a quick rush out, have some things packed, your important papers, your keys, clothes, and all that kind of stuff, and take them to a friend's house. So if you have to leave out of that house running with just you and your shoes, you have something somewhere else. Okay, so pack your little bag with your keys in it, car keys. You can hide some car keys somewhere so you can get in the car and go real quick because that person might hide the keys and say you're not going anywhere. So if you have an extra set of keys, get them, hide them somewhere so you can get it and go. And that's important too. Plan your exit. Okay, and don't be afraid to let somebody know. As a matter of fact, you could actually start keeping a diary of things, so if something happened to you, you'll have this diary and maybe the police can see it and they go get the person if he wasn't one that killed you, or hurt you or put you in a coma or whatever. You have this diary, what happened this time, what he did and all this kind of stuff. And you put it in a place where it can be found or give it, I don't know what to do. I want to say put it in a place where it can't be found, but he may find it. but let somebody know. Okay, put it in the hands of somebody. Oh, I know what you can do. Write down some things, put it in a sealed envelope, give it to a friend, and tell them to keep this in case of emergencies. In case of emergency, that's when they can open it up and they'll know the details of what's going on. Any threats that's been happening, you can log it down, put it in an envelope, send it off, or send it to somebody so they can have an account of what's going on. Okay, because you shouldn't have to go through that. And also, children sometimes abuse their elderly adults, the elderly parents, because the parents get old and feeble, and the children sometimes, especially those who've been spoiled and all that kind of stuff, um, they may abuse their parents. So if you have parents that's been abused, you might need to check on getting some help with that too. Or if the person who's taking care of your parents, if you suspect, them being abused, get some help or get rid of that person or something. So it's not just man and woman abuse, it's adult abuse, or the elderly abuse, children abuse, employee abuse, immigrants abuse, police abuse, employee abuse. There's a lot of abuse going on, and it shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen at all.
Well,
So
you bring up some great points when you talk about, especially our elderly. You know, uh, our young people. There's abuse. You would think that in a civilized countries, quote unquote, that we would be at a higher level of taking care of each other. We have to be our brothers and sisters people. However, there are many situations where people uh, are abusers, and they say most abusers have been abused. Most abusers have been abused at some point in their life. They've never taken the time to either get help or therapy. Uh, and then these things just keep going down and keep going down and keep going down. And it happens in every walk of life. Even when you look at sexual predators, whether they into sports, they intimidate the young people to the point where they're scarred for the rest of their lives. So this is why domestic violence is critical. Even when it looks at some of the behavior of our law enforcement people. The numbers don't look good. The numbers don't look good. Some of the most, what we think could be the safest places, law enforcement, uh, the pulpit, uh, in the teaching profession. These are some of the most abusive and politicians. We there tends to be a blind eye because out of tradition, we value and we respect authority to the point where we don't question authority. Therefore, people even in the military, there's so much uh, abuse, domestic abuse within the ranks, that they had to do a whole stand down to get people, men and women, to understand, uh, their purpose other than abusing and taking advantage of each other. So it's critical.
yeah, yeah, it is. And one of the things I also was going to say that women are sometimes taught to be submissive, and if you stay around and let your husband abuse you and don't try to do anything about it, when your son gets older, he's going to be seeing that, and he's going to feel like daddy did it, so I'm going to do it. So instead of taking loving care of your mom, you are abusing her because that's what daddy did, and you feel like that's what you should do or you could do. So that's not a good thing right there. You're teaching your children how to treat you. That's not good if you are stand around and be abusive. Let that happen. So let your child know that this is not the way it should be and try to get out of it. Okay, stand up for yourself. Get out of the relationship or whatever. Because I know, I don't want to leave him. I just want him to stop. I just want him to treat us right. That's all I want. And women are like that. You know, they just want it to stop. They don't want to cause them any harm. They don't want them to go to jail or anything like that. They just want it to stop. But it don't always happen. You know, and sometimes men take that as a weak thing. She let me do it. You know, um they say you train me to do this. You know, they'll use that too. You know, they will use that line. You let me do it. You must like it. You must feel like it's okay. Okay, that's why they continue to do it. But you can't do that. You have to stand up. You have to
Well,
stand
that's
up
a
or get
part.
somebody else. Or see, like I got brothers and uncles. You know, if I have a problem, they can take up for me. They will be over
Well,
here so quick.
well, that's a part of intimidation and manipulation. One of the things I think we have to be clear on too, and this is where it's really getting dangerous today. People that have brothers, sisters, fathers, concerned men in the family, concerned women in the family. Some of these abusers will hurt family members. Uh, they will threaten them, and they do mean to bring bodily harm. There's situations where people have to be real careful when you're going to be a mediator, a mediator between the abuser and the person being abused, because sometimes the reasons, even when police officers show up, a lot of police officers have been shot and
Mm-hmm.
killed in a domestic violence situation. Because what happens, the person being abused, kind of goes towards the person that's being an abuser, and sometimes those people are violent. If you got an abuser, there's a tendency for them to be violent towards you and other people. You and other people, especially family members, close family members. Uh, there have been situations where uh, uh, two sisters have ended up dying because an abuser, just went all the way. And in most situations, they say one out of every uh, five domestic abusers is also a sexual abuser. One out of every
Mm-hmm.
five people involved uh, in a domestic abuse situation, one out of five of those are also sexual abuse. Okay, so we see how difficult this has been. And then when you look at in this country, America, because it's been overlooked and ignored for so long, this thing is generational. There are generational curses where perpetrators are being breeded. As we speak now, uh, there's someone being breeded to be an abuser. And there's always still someone being breeded uh, to be a victim of abuse, not recognizing the signs. Uh, as we say, everyone knows someone. Everyone knows someone. Not recognizing the signs of abuse. If you see, and most of us will recognize if you come to work with some dark shades on and it look like you got two bruised eyes, or they notice some marks around your neck, uh, and things of that nature, they might ask, "Well, what's going on?" But uh, some of these things, especially the mental and the psychological abuse, the low self-esteem, uh, there are situations where even women participated in the abuse of their children, male and female, because they felt intimidated, they were manipulated, pushed and controlled to support. There are actually women serving time in jail uh, because of the court system not recognizing that as being a manipulation factor. They charging the woman just as heavily as they charge the male, but she might might have been in, she was in a situation where she felt so intimidated, and her life always at risk that she would even, join in abusing her own children.
Mm. I hope I never get into that kind of situation. I pray to God, but then I've always been a strong person ever since I was a kid. I've always been strong, and I didn't take crap from anybody. You know, I would let so much happen, but there's when it go way out. No, I couldn't do it. I know women are a lot of them are bred to be submissive. So, but being
Hmm.
submissive is not going to the point where you're gonna let them abuse you. Okay. So
Right.
I know a lot of people say, I'm trying to be submissive. I'm trying to do what the Lord said. But yeah, you can be a submissive, but you can't let them abuse you.
Hey,
That's a
hey,
different thing.
The Lord didn't say let him go upside your head. Uh, you
Exactly.
know, uh, but so a lot of these are man-made. See, most of the rules are made for men. When you live in a colonized world under a colonized mindset, a lot of these rules were created in the best interest of men. Okay, we have to be clear with that. And by them being
Mhm.
included in directed towards men, men tend to ignore until recently. Men tend to ignore abuse. They get to the point where they say, well, I was in a situation one time, and there was a brother. His daddy was a preacher, and there was a situation. As a matter of fact, it was with my wife. He said, man, you need my belt. And I looked at him, and I was like, what? He said, you need my belt. Because it was something real simple, but he was used to his daddy whipping his mama with a belt. Okay,
Mm-mm.
so he automatically thought that was a response for anything that if she was too mouthy. A lot of times, especially with the sisters might say an extra word. you know,
Uh-huh.
uh, sisters, it is what it is. Women gonna throw another word in there. And some guys they give them the look. But there's some situations of abuse. This exists in, believe it or not, all cultures. Uh, Even during slavery, believe it or not, even with the slave masters doing his damage, abusing, punishing black people. Guess what? When they got outside and got into that barn, there was abuse going on in there, and whether it was internalized from the beatings that the males received, and they felt that uh, wherever they lived, their home should be the place where they rule like a lion. They took it out on
Hmm.
their significant other and their kids.
Yeah, yeah, they will. But see, me, I've my mom. I've never seen my mom in an abusive relationship, so she's always been strong. Maybe I got that gene from her, but me, I couldn't deal with that. I just can't. I know I've lost my
But they
train
got
of
a lot of
thought.
strong women coming out of Mississippi. I ain't saying which area, the South or the North, is more submissive position, but I'm telling you this: they're men that they can bear witness. They can bear witness that these women might take it one time. You'll find some grits boiling on the stove. You'll find some honey being boiled. They say, "Honey, I got something nice for you." And there are some women. There. Matter of fact, there was a lady. She actually they call her the Black Widow because she wasn't taking no. She wasn't gonna take a loss.
Mm-mm.
She'll kill one and get another one before uh, she's listed as being abused, and you don't want it to come to that. And see,
Right.
that's why men have to be very careful. If you see people in a situation, you have to let them know because you can you can find yourself dead. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I was in the reserves, and this was back in had to be between '84 and '85. There was a guy that I was in the reserves with, and he'd come to uh, the meetings sometimes. We met over there at Georgia Tech, and he would come, and sometimes he'd be scratched up. You know, he'd have uh, marks all over, and then uh, you know, when we didn't think nothing of it, but one day he didn't show up, and there was a young lady that came to the center looking to collect his insurance policy. Because we would see these guys about once a month, so every 30
Mhm.
days. Found out that she had killed him, and it was considered a legitimate uh, situation because she walked free. Okay, she walked away free. So men have to be careful too, because ladies are not women are just not going to sit around and take abuse. Okay,
No,
it's not
no,
going to
they're
happen.
not.
Not today. Not today.
Mhm.
There women going, and I'm not advocating violence, but if you're a man, and we got to listen clear. If you're a man and you are someone you have to pull them aside and check them. I didn't know enough about domestic violence back then. I was like 24, 25 years old, and we didn't recognize the signs. Okay,
Right.
did not recognize the signs, and that
Yeah.
brother lost his life
Yeah.
because
So
he
let me
was an
give you
abuser.
some of the signs now of an abusive person. If he's
Okay,
jealous and possessive, so that's a sign right there that he can be abusive. You don't want to be around a person who's jealous. Because like when you're courting, they act jealous and you think, oh, that's so cute. He's jealous. But let it go on. He can be demanding, possessive, and it could be a headache, you know. If he's controlling, if he has a controlling behavior, that's abuse right there. Unrealistic expectations of you. Uh, she goes to work, he goes to work, and then y'all come home. He expects you to cook and clean up and do everything else while he's just sitting around watching TV. That can be abusive. She can say, "I'm tired too, just like you are. You get up and cook," and he gonna raise saying about that. You know, that's abuse right there. Isolation, when he don't want you to be around your family members. I want you all to myself. That person is no good for you. I don't like your friends. That can be abusive right there. Blaming others for your problems. If you go to work and you have something go on at work, and then you come back and take it off on your wife and beat up on her, because I've known men to get mad with their girlfriends and then they come back and take it out on their wives. That's abusive right there. So you don't want a person like that who blame other people for your feelings. Hypersensitive. um Hypersensitive is like, you say something and he get all huffy and puffy and want to jump on you about it. That's not cool right there. Or you didn't take out the garbage like he wanted you to. You just being disrespectful. No, that's since that's a red flag right there that they can be abusive. Um, quick to say quick involvement. A person who wants to move in with you real quick. I just love you to death. I just want you to be out with me and nobody else. That can be a sign right there that that person could be abusive. If he wants you already within less than 6 months, want you to move in and see him and only him, and don't want you to have any friends, just be with them. That's signs right there. That's a red flag for abuse. So you don't want that. All that love at first sight stuff. There is love at first sight now, but you got to pay attention to those signs. Being disrespectful to you or others is a sign that he could be very abusive. If he's gonna say something ugly to you instead of being loving and kind to you, if he being ugly to other people, or abusing dogs and cats, being animals. Let's do it like that. If he abused animals, he might abuse you. Okay? So if he's always kicking on a dog or a cat or taking a stick and beating on him and stuff like that, that's abusive behavior. And you don't want to be involved with somebody who has that kind of behavior. And if they are playfully using force for sex, doing sexual intercourse, and you saying no, but he's kind of playing it out, but he's forcing it on you in a way, that is abuse because you don't want it, and he's going to make you do it anyway. That is abuse. That is actually rape. And you telling him no, but he's playfully forcing himself on you. That is abuse, and you don't want that. So those kind of things, and disrespecting your property. If you have a jar of candy up there and he don't want you to have that candy, and he take it and throw it in the garbage can, or he eat it all up himself, or give it away to somebody without your permission, that's abuse right there. Not respecting your privacy. If you even just going getting on your phone and just saying who you calling and all that kind of stuff and questioning you about it, those are abusive tendencies. So you don't want to be involved in people like that. And somebody who's always shoving on you, or hitting you, you say something, they slap you one time. Nope, you don't want that. And they're gonna say, "Oh, you just made me do that. Look what you did." No, I didn't make you did that. You made a conscious choice to hit me. You made a conscious choice to hit me. So I didn't make you do that. So that is a sign, that is a big time sign that he's abusive, has abusive tendencies. So you don't want that. He's forcing you to take drugs or alcohol and you don't want to do it and they're forcing you to. That is abuse. Okay. Somebody who's gonna deny you medical care, that is abuse. You're sick and you want to take your medicine or you can't get it and they won't give it to you, that is abuse. And a lot of times that part is also done with the parents. If your parent is sick and they can't get their medicine and you're denying your parent their medicine or and stuff like that, that is abusive right there. You shouldn't deny your parent medical needs. You should not deny that. If you see somebody who's denying their parents of their medicine or giving them cat food, the parent had to eat cat food instead of regular food, that is abuse. And that should not happen. So those are just a few signs that you have of an abusive person. If you see somebody like that, run the other way. Don't have anything to do with them.
Well,
You
well,
do
well.
not want
Seriously, you're so correct. One of the things too, if you go home with somebody, and this is critical, this is very important. If you go home with somebody, whether it be a woman or a male, significant other, and you see how their family members behave around each other, okay, especially the male members,
mm-hmm.
there's always an indicator of how they treat other people. Case in point, you go to Thanksgiving dinner. If they invite you, now a lot of abusers don't invite people to see their family. They don't want them to see their family because the
Right.
family members know they got issues. The family member realize they got issues. The sister
Mm-hmm.
might look and say, "Girl, I need to talk to you for a second. That's my brother, but he got some issues." And then in some situations, there are some women. Now we have some women that are extremely, they might call them bipolar now. That's the big thing. That's why men have to be careful. You can't hit everybody upside the head. You can't
Right.
say anything to everybody. You said, man, this girl, she will show out. You got a number in your phone, like you said earlier, and she goes through your phone and she throws that phone, he or she throws that phone against the wall. You know, these are signs. Or you go into their home or see family members, that's a history. You talking to them, and they say, well, I remember what's the name? when she had that other guy, man, she ain't been in a relationship in a while, man. She jumped on that girl and pulled a knife out. Well, these are some warning signs. Okay, you might love him or her, but if this person has a track record, a history,
Mhm.
documentation, now I'm not saying you might have to. Sometimes you might have to pull a police report on certain people, find
Yeah.
out what's been going on, and until they get some help or some therapy, you don't want to endanger your life because your life is too important. Whether you're male, female, or whatever, because even in LGBT groups, there are people, there's abusers over there. Okay, and every group of people, anytime you have human beings interacting with each other, there tends to be an abuser. There's a person that believes they had the right to control the actions and efforts and of another person. Okay, so we have to be very clear. You got young people growing up. You might see your nephews, your uh, nieces, and starting out in abusive relationships as early as is 9, 10 years old. You say, well, oh, I need to talk to her, and I'm going to talk to him. Okay, you
Mhm.
might see it in teenagers. Uh, I saw. We've seen situations where young men are, are abusing their girlfriend. Okay, you know,
Mhm.
they want to make them uh, under them. They just like a pimp. They intimidating. They are threatening them. They are trying to break them like you break a horse to ride it. So these are things that are happening. We have to recognize those signs, especially as a people, especially this uh, in this country. And anytime you see it in your face, I know sometimes it's difficult to address because you can't believe that a family member or someone you love is an abuser, or a family member or someone you love is in an type abusive type situation where they're being abused. Like like we have to be careful because if you take the horns and start running in there, you might find yourself in a compromised position if you're not prepared.
Right. Yeah. And when you're talking about young girls being abused by their boyfriends, sometimes they don't know that they're being abused. They think, oh, he's just jealous. It'll be all right, and I'll just try to keep my distance from such and such, you know. But that
Mm-hmm.
is abuse. That shouldn't happen. They have to recognize abuse when they see it. They say, "Oh, that is so cute. He's jealous, but I'm gonna keep my distance from so and so he won't get upset." No, no, that those are signs of abuse. If it happened, then later on it's gonna get worse. And then they're gonna start hitting on you and everything else, isolating you from the rest of your friends. So your boyfriend is jealous now, and so you're gonna start staying away from that person who might be a better friend than your boyfriend is because he don't want you to be around him. Then you're gonna isolate yourself from everybody else. That's not cool. You
Well,
should Everybody should have a plethora of friends to talk to and go to because
right,
when you're in this abusive relationship, you need somebody to talk to and to help you out, help you to figure this out. Don't isolate yourself and keep yourself away from everybody else. That's not cool at
right.
all. Not at all. And the pimps, they are another one who are abusive. They're pimping out people. They abuse these girls all the time, and they should
Mm,
recognize that they're being abused and get out of those situations if it's all possible without them getting hurt because they can be very dangerous. Even
exactly.
leaving your spouse can be dangerous. You just got to
Oh,
plan it out.
yeah.
You got to
Well,
plan your exit. You don't tell them anything. You just silently plan your exit and don't cause any friction. And next thing
well,
you know,
rejection is a horrible thing. Most people, it's very difficult to handle rejection. A lot of people, they say, "Oh yeah, she leave, I ain't got no problem. He leaves, I don't have a problem." You'd be surprised how many people
mhm,
go back, and usually, if the victim goes back, either believing they're gonna change. are believing that that person might do something to themselves. A lot of times when the abuser goes back, the abuser comes back and doubles down. You know, you say, well, you know, he really tightened up. He might let you go for a couple of weeks. So, you know, I told you, baby, I don't need to look in your phone all the time. See, I trust you. I told you I'm not going to be outside your job looking at you, making sure you go to work. Yeah, I trust you. But it won't be long. It won't be long before that individual doubles down and goes right back into that behavior. Now you're in
Yeah.
that cycle that you can't get out of.
Yeah, this same thing when I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I promise you, I do better. And they keep on begging and begging, and the woman want to believe it, and she loving him so much, and she go right back to him. You
Well,
know,
this ain't what they call that. This ain't the princess doll. This ain't what's that the dairy, you know, Disneyland where they live happily ever after. In domestic abuse situation, there are a couple of things will happen if those parties don't seek some type of help. Okay, that's why that number is so important. You have to seek help, and you got to go outside of your circle because your family will tell you to stay. Your church, your
mhm.
temple, your mosque will tell you to stay. They had a pastor that uh, uh, was operating in fear of losing his deacon and head pastor, so he tolerated and condoned abuse. You know, these things happen, so we have to be proactive and make sure that we look out for ourselves.
Yeah, you got to, and then too, if you are not to talk to your friends and stuff that much, always try to have a passcode, a code word. So if they call you and you use that code word, they'll know that you are in trouble and you need some help. Cause sometimes when you could be somebody could call you right in the middle of an argument or he getting ready to beat you up, and you don't want to tell them in front of him, so you use that code word. This is happening. You might say, Johnny's going to town next week, or Johnny getting ready to fly, or whatever, or how's so and so doing? They might be dead. How Johnny Jean's doing? Johnny Jean might have been dead 10 years ago. That could be your code word right there. I need help. Please get over here real quick. You know. So if you can have a code word with your family and friends, let them know that you need help. Cause even if they come over to visit you, you can use that code word. How Johnny Jean doing? When you say that, they'll know that you're in trouble, you need some help, and they're gonna go get some help or stay around with you or take you out. Come on, go with me to the shop, to the mall, just to get you out of that situation. So, use that code word, come up with one, and don't be afraid to tell people that you have problems so they can help you to get out of the situation. Because I've seen a time when a friend of mine, she was in an abusive relationship. I had to drive up there and get her and bring her home with me. Because I've seen people in those situations. One girl, she came to school with a big old iron print on her face. She said that she was sleeping and she put the iron on her face by accident. Now you know better. And this is the same one. We had to lock the school down. When she come in, we locked the school down so nobody can come in, and somebody would escort her home. And the thing is about that, sometimes the police don't do anything for you. You can have these restrictions, and they may not always abide by them. They say sometimes they might say we have to see him hit you in order for us to lock him up. And some
Right.
women are in bad situations like that. And sometimes these people don't care about these restriction things where you can't come to them. They'll go anyway. You're not
Right.
supposed to be here. I don't care what they say. You my woman. If I want to be here,
Mm.
I'm going to be here. And they come in and beat them
Right.
up or whatever they want to do. So women do need protection. Even they have to get a pea shooter, you know, they have
Well,
to.
a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of the sisters packing,
Yeah,
and it's a word to the wise. You know, to the men out there, if you are an abuser, get some help. If you are a person that's being abused, get some help because you don't want to be pushed into a situation where you end up killing somebody. Like I said, I know a couple of young ladies that have had, and they pleaded self defense. They won the case. They won the case. Yeah, the family got upset. The family was upset and mad, but guess what? The family had plenty of time to recognize that their sons in those three cases were abusers, and they either ignored it, didn't know it, and then when those women killed those men, that put a dagger between the family. Now some families are able to regroup, but if you lose a son, you lose a son or a nephew or a cousin, a male member of your family, because he was an abuser. you know, uh, we have to look back and think sometimes. If you recognize any of those signs that we brought up, you got to at least talk to him. At least you say, I done my part. I did
yeah,
make him aware that, hey, this could go the wrong way for you. Okay, you might be the one putting up hands all side of head, but there will be that day when you got to wear the mark, or you might not make it back. But anyway, we have to, uh, keep that awareness on both sides. Letting
yeah.
abusers know that they won't be getting away with this forever, and letting the people that's being abused, the victims, that they don't have to take it, and you don't want to have to be pushed into a situation where you end up killing somebody.
Right. And two, it might come in handy if you talk to that person, the abuser's family, and ask them to talk to him,
Hopefully, it can.
you know, so he won't, abuse you anymore.
Well,
Maybe,
you remember that scene in Color Purple where the character that Oprah played, she said, "I'll kill him dead. I'll kill him dead." And I think Harpo did pay a little bit of attention to that because he knew. Uh, uh, I think when she talked to, I don't know, was this his mother or somebody? She told him, "Why you told your boy to do the beat me?" So sometimes you
yeah.
got to have that conversation.
Hmm. Yeah, you do. And there are some men who believe men should beat their wives. But
Oh
me,
yeah.
I think women are like precious jewels and they should be treated as such. And personally, that's the only way I take it. Like a
Okay.
precious jewel. That's the only way I take it. And women should be the same because you got to love yourself. If you love yourself, you're not going to let that happen. Okay. You can't love that person more than you love yourself. And then that's the problem with a lot of people. Oh, I love him. I don't want anything to happen to him. But what about loving yourself? Do you
Oh
not
yeah.
love yourself? You got to love me. Self-preservation. That's the way I look at it. Self-preservation. Yeah.
Right.
And so it's about time for us to get out of here. I just want to give those numbers again. Um, the helpline number is 800 799 7233. 800-799-7233 or 799 safe. That's the helpline for if you find yourself in an abusive relationship or something you need help. And also you can text START to 88788. 88788. Text START. Okay. And there's some details on those numbers too. So like if you feel if they may get that number, if they see start, they won't think anything about it. Okay, so if you press start, and then maybe you'll get some help in there. And the other number, the website is thehotline.org. Thehotline.org. And be sure 211 for the United Way. They have places for domestic abuse, for the shelters, and places like that for you to go to get help. So call those numbers, 211 for United Way. They have a lot of shelters, that you can go to, the hotline.org, or you can text start to 788. No, I'm sorry, start 88788. Okay. Call those places. Get help. If you need help, don't let anybody abuse you. Love yourself more than you love that other person, because they're not loving you. Love don't hurt. Just remember that love don't hurt. If they are hurting you, they're not loving you. So you got to love yourself, okay? Always love yourself. And if you want to get out of a relationship, tell somebody. Don't just keep it to yourself, okay? Tell somebody. Somebody can help you to get out. They might have a truck waiting around the corner if you want to move out. When that man go to work, time he pulled around that corner, they pull up with the truck and help you load your stuff and take you out of the state if need be. Okay? Somebody will help you. You just got to reach out. Okay? Let somebody know there are people who are willing to help you to get out of these situations. Okay? So that's going to be it. Just remember, you are your brother's keeper. You are your brother's keeper, because there are a lot of people who are too weak to stand up against the oppressor. So you got to be that backbone for them, okay? And don't get yourself caught in a situation where you're going to get hurt. In the meantime, let them guide you. It's like, let them guide you, okay? Offer your help, and if they will accept it, go for it. But if they're resistant and you're going to force it on them, you might get caught in the middle and things could go wrong. You don't want that to happen. Offer your service and let them guide you. That's going to be my thought for the day. And so until next week, y'all take care. Remember, this is Violence Awareness Month. If you see people being abused, say something, okay? Sometimes you can just say, hey, you shouldn't talk to that person like that. This is a nice, beautiful lady. Why are you doing this? Or sometimes you got these women who have these raunchy mouths and really talking bad to people, talking bad to the men. You can say something about that too. Offer something nice or funny to say to kind of break up the tension. Because abuse don't have to happen. Again, love don't hurt. Until next week, this is Sylvia Hayes and Reginal with Good News at Primetime, and we see you the next time. Have a good one.